Hi, Internet. Welcome to the Troyan YouTube channel here with another rock reaction. This is per request and not a Patreon request. So if you're at the $10 level on my Patreon, you get a guaranteed one request per month reacted to on the channel or on the Patreon if it gets blocked from YouTube. But if you are just persistent in requesting the same song over and over again, it will help me remember to do it. And so this is a song that's been requested multiple times that I have just been reminded to do, so I'm going to do it. And what are we doing? Boom. We're doing Iron Maiden, Rime of the Ancient Mariner from the Flight 666 DVD. I have not seen this. I've not seen the Flight 666 movie. I've wanted to, and just it's one of those things where just like you keep saying, oh yeah, I'll get around to seeing it, and then you never do. The movie looked cool. Iron Maiden, I am a fan, but I'm not necessarily a diehard. I really love the first two albums, and then I have a good general familiarity with the catalog where I know pretty much every album, but I'm not like an expert in every album. So if you told me, like good general history, but it's not encyclopedic. So I do know the song, but it's not necessarily one of my favorite Maiden songs. I mean, it's a great song, but not in my top 10 or 20 Maiden songs probably. But Maiden, they're amazing live. They're one of the best live bands I've ever seen, and I expect this to be a killer performance of a song that, even though if it's not in my top 20 Maiden songs, it's still a great song. And based off the poem. So yeah. Let's just get right into it.
So I'll introduce this song the same way that I did, in a slightly lighter, more vulgar tone, that I did at Long Beach Arena 1984. This is what not to do if your bird shits on you. The Rime of the Ancient Mariner!
So a couple things. It is so hard to just be sitting down while watching Maiden because Maiden just gets you pumped. Like you want to just like put your fist in the air and like work out and do some reps, like jog, get in the pit. So shoot, I might actually just just like do some reps while I'm just hanging out here watching this, because like it just feels like when like watching Maiden, you should be doing something physical. Like, this is just a little 10-pounder next to me, but still, just it feels like you should be doing something. Yeah. So this is just yeah, and Bruce Dickinson, one of the all-time great frontmen in rock. Where even though I don't necessarily love his vocal style, as a performer, he is just untouchable. Like one of the greatest live frontmen ever. And his voice is great, but, it's just sort of that, like, operatic metal style isn't as much my cup of tea, but he's so good where, like, you just love it. Yeah, I mean, this is freaking killer. Let's get back to it. Yeah, this feels more like it.
Shipments cry against what he's done. Look with the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, the song's freaking killer. Like, even as I said, oh, it's not one of my favorite Maiden songs. Like, it's still like Maiden in their prime, doing just you know, I mean, the song was written Maiden in their prime, but like Maiden, like they're still absolutely killer live. You know, I saw them maybe like 4 or 5 years back, and one of the best live shows I've ever seen. Just really, really excellent. And just Bruce Dickinson is so great about like not hiding like how exhausted he has to be. Well, like the amount of like running around and stuff, and the outfit changes, and his movements, and just the power of his voice. But like everybody in this band is a freaking killer, a freaking monster. You know, the set looks cool, and you know, lyrically, like it is a cool concept for a song. For those who don't really know, it's sort of like it's an old poem about this guy who's like at a wedding, and he's like, "Hey, young man, let me tell you a story about this one time I killed a bird, and turns out that was a really bad thing to do. I killed this bird, and then like ghosts and demons like took over the ship, and like then the whole crew died, but then eventually my sins were forgiven, and then I came back to shore, and it was a harrowing experience. And now I'm going to tell you about the story about how this one time I killed a bird, and that led to ghosts and demons taking over the ship." And that's basically what the song is. It's like it's a retelling of that poem, but in Maiden style, bro. But yeah, I mean, freaking killing it. I know a lot of people don't like Janik in the band, and like a lot of Maiden purists, like, oh, why is he still in the band? I think it's really cool that they like realize like, hey, he's a nice person, he plays guitar really well, and they just didn't kick him out of the band when like the older lineup reunited. So I thought that was really cool that they kept him in the band, and I think he's fun on stage. Does Maiden need 3 guitars? No, but is it fun? Yeah, like I like him. I know there's a lot of controversy around him, and a lot of Maiden purists like hate him, but like, man, whatever. Like he's as a guy who has a lot of like hired guns who are friends, I'm glad he got to keep his gig, because they're like, he's nice, he does the job well, he puts all of us in a good mood. And so I know people complain about him like being too flashy and throwing his guitar in the air. Like, that's freaking awesome. Like, yeah, the guitarist for Iron Maiden is throwing his guitar in the air, because you don't need, he wasn't doing that there necessarily, but you don't really need 3 guitars in Maiden, so you might as well have someone putting on a good show. So I'm pro Janik. I don't know how it's pronounced, but that dude is freaking rad. So let's keep going. The gong hit, yes. And I feel like it would just be improper to not shout out Steve Harris just because, like, this is his band. Like, he's the mastermind. Um, it is so much just, like, his bass playing and songwriting, like, propelling the band forward. So, I mean, you gotta shout out Steve.
By the star-duggered moon, too quick for groan or sigh, each turned his face with a ghastly pang and cursed me with his eye. 4 times 50 living men, and I heard no sigh nor groan. With heavy thump, a lifeless lump, they dropped down one by one.
Has Runnin' Wild covered this song? Because if they haven't, they really dropped the ball.
To break, the albatross falls from his neck, sinks down like lead into the sea. Then down falls comes the
All right, so we're about 9 minutes into this, so a few more observations. As a singer who runs around a lot on stage, I know the importance of instrumental breaks where you run off stage, you desperately hydrate and catch your breath and like do an outfit change or whatever. So I remember being very impressed with like all the times where Bruce Dickinson would utilize going off stage to desperately catch his breath, which I know is what I would do. So I just thought that the way that he does that throughout the show is really, really brilliant. Just really, really awesome. And obviously, the technical chops of the guys in this band, being able to like adjust all the rhythm changes and how tight every section is musically, just how intricate it is. I mean, they're Maiden. You know, what more can you say? And also, I think that in terms of songs to lyrical themes, Maiden has always been one of the stronger bands in the metal genre in terms of their cleverness and pulling from literature. Just really, really great. So yeah, let's keep it going. Yeah, and just the harmony guitars. Obviously, they took Thin Lizzy was a primary influence on Maiden, and they took the harmony guitars in a little bit of a different direction than Lizzy, but I mean it's freaking killer, man. I want to go like jog right now.
Some light shall fall.
All right, yeah, there you go. Freaking Iron Maiden, Rime of the Ancient Mariner. I mean, sort of closing thoughts as I was as the song was finishing. Um, First off, like if that doesn't make you pumped to want to like go work out immediately, I don't know what's going on in your brain, but that's just like, you just like you want to jog and you wish that you had more than 10-pound weights that you bought before quarantine, but you don't have extra money to buy weights, so that's all you got in the house. Um, but yeah, I mean, it is just a phenomenal, great song and a great performance. And when you think about Maiden, they're one of those bands that really influenced basically almost every metal band that came after them. And especially, so many other bands took the harmony guitar thing. Like they didn't even know that Thin Lizzy was a thing, and just went to Maiden in terms of how they would do their harmony guitars. And really, Maiden like set the standard for that. And I think especially the way that the bass interplays with those harmony guitars, where there's just like that sort of galloping atmosphere, became the template for what you do with harmony guitars in metal, as opposed to Lizzie, where it wasn't really as gallopy, and it had more of a rock beat, and so it has like a different flavor to it, even though, musically it's still largely utilizing, thirds and fifths. But yeah, and as I'm looking at what videos are suggested, one of them is the Final Fantasy IX soundtrack. A lot of video game composers like took their epic nature of like the epic boss battle music is in many ways emblematic of Maiden. Like there's a lot of early video game music that was basically power metal, because what's going to get you more pumped to fight off the zombies and the undead than freaking Maiden. So, if you were to play an epic fantasy video game where you're battling, monsters on a ghost ship, Maiden would be a perfect soundtrack for it. So yeah, I mean, freaking killer. Great suggestion. Awesome song. Yeah, I don't have much more to say than that. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to do the liking, the commenting, the subscribe, and all the things. And have a good one. Bye, everyone.